Take projection.
It's Friday morning, and you know what that means. It's time for another episode of the Alabama Slam Podcast. I'm your host, Corey Hanna.
What's going on, guys? It's Patrick Akers.
And we have got a ton of stuff to cover this week. It seems like the last couple of weeks we've been covering more and more topics. I feel like there's more and more to discuss. There was a little while there where I felt like we had a handful of topics each week, and we would spend more time on each one, but there's so much good shit happening right now that we basically only really have time for quick hitters every week.
Wrestling's hot right now, man.
Yeah,
there's a lot of good stuff going on.
Yeah, and I even named one of the episodes a couple months ago where They Can't All Be Cowboys because I felt like it was sort of in a dry period, and it's not the case.
And you got to think about too, with the actor strike and the writer strike going on, so, who knows how long people are going to go without any new shows.
Yeah, they're pretty dug in.
Wrestling's got an opportunity, both WWE and AEW, to maybe get some new fans, so we'll see what happens with it. For
sure. Before we get into any of that, though, I want to go over some housekeeping things. We are part of a network called the Alabama Take. You can visit thealabamatake.com to find all of our brother and sister podcasts. We've got weekly pop culture podcast called Taking It Down by Alabama main and head and founder of the Alabama Take, Blaine Duncan, and
Big
his
Boss
crew.
Man fan too.
Big
by
Boss
the way.
Man. Yeah, he loves Big Boss Man. He brings him up on our Twitter any chance he gets. They release every Tuesday morning. You can check them out. Taking on Sports is every Monday or every other Monday in rotation with the Stare Down podcast, which is my cousin Mallory. Those are both sports podcasts. And I think they may do some crossovers at some point. Speaking of crossovers, the Stare Down podcast, as well as Check Your Shelf podcast, which is my wife's monthly book podcast. They're definitely doing crossover episodes. And then we're in the middle of season 3 with This Song Sucks. That is very self-explanatory in terms of what that is. A couple of guys that Blaine knows that go way back have a podcast where they talk about songs that suck and why they think they suck. And then me and some of my homies are resurrecting our podcast called We Are a Star War. It's a little more sporadic than the other podcasts, and we'll explain to you why we've been on a hiatus since November. But we're recording an episode this weekend, releasing sometime next week. So y'all just go follow the Alabama Take on basically all socials. Blaine has it on even the new ones that are popping up that no one's really taken to yet, just in case they do pop off. So go check those out. And if you want a t-shirt from the Alabama Slam or the Alabama Take, you can go to tpublic.com and just search for either Alabama Slam or Alabama Take.
Or
and
a sticker.
We got a
coffee mug. I got a coffee mug.
Yeah, Patrick got a coffee mug with Alabama
and I got
Slam
a sticker on my laptop.
That's right. Yeah, I've got shirts. My son's got a shirt with the Alabama Slam on it. And I hate to be that guy that's like wearing your own shit, but I have been wearing it to the indie wrestling things that I've gone to lately.
Every wrestler wears their own shirt.
That is true.
Except Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston is the only one that wears different people's shirts.
That is true. He did wear a Redeem These Nuts shirts not too long ago.
Yeah.
And I need one of those. And I need the KO shirt.
And he's worn Terry Funk shirts.
Yeah.
He won in the G1 Classic, by the way.
Yeah.
Or he won his round.
Hell yeah.
I guess. So we'll see.
Awesome. Well, let's get into the week that was in wrestling. As usual lately, we'll start off with WWE stuff for the first half of the show, and then we'll sneak into AEW on the second half of the show. So Friday Night SmackDown. The first thing that we have in our notes is Jay's promo is interrupted by Paul Heyman and Solo. Solo tells Jay that what happened to Jimmy was Jay's fault. Jay threw Solo out of the ring. Jay and Solo scrap in the ring, and Jay super kicks Paul Heyman in what was maybe one of the most satisfying things that's happened on TV in a long time.
Look, Paul Heyman's going to, when he bumps, he's going to make it count.
Yeah.
He doesn't give you a lot, but when he gives you one, it counts.
Yeah. And then Solo saves Heyman from getting hit by a chair from Jey Uso. As usual, this is one of the more compelling things happening in wrestling right now, and will be until at least WrestleMania, right?
Yeah, you would have to think so. I mean, main event Jey Uso is back in full swing. The crowd was loving it. Interesting thing, Paul Heyman, when he came out, said that Roman Reigns was going to be on the show next week to discuss the rules of engagement, which is a fascinating idea. and we will see what that actually means. At some point, we have to see like Rikishi and Afa and Sika. Like we need to have that moment where the whole Samoan family comes out at some point.
If they do that, are they really dropping the ball if they can't get The Rock to make an appearance at some point?
I don't want The Rock anywhere near this personally. I just don't know. Like, it doesn't. The Rock's vibe as a character doesn't vibe with what this story is.
True.
The Rock is a smart ass. He is an over the top charismatic energy. This story has been all about subtlety. It's been about the quiet moments. He doesn't need to be. That time was last WrestleMania, and if we didn't get it,
they missed the boat on that.
Yeah, so now we're on to bigger and better things. But I would love to see Rikishi get involved because his sons are now torn on different sides of it. Afa and Sika, I think, are still alive. You get them, and they've been referenced on TV before, so it's not like you're breaking anything new. Like they've
referenced the elders a couple times, right?
Yeah, that's Solo Sikoa's whole backstory is that the elders sent him. So this continues to be captivating TV. They didn't quite do 37 minutes like they did last week.
That's true.
They might do 37 next week with this rules of engagement thing, but we'll see. I mean, rules of engagement, that is what people use when they talk about war. So if you did not know that we were in a civil war, I mean, they're leaning into it. It's a smart play, and the crowd loves main event Jey Uso. No doubt about that.
Yeah, I mean, he's clearly getting the most over in that group right now.
It's like, I mean, we talk about this all the time. Believability. Everything he says, it feels real. He doesn't feel like he's playing a character. That's the biggest thing any wrestler can have, and he's got it in spades.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. We've gone a few different ways on how all of this could end and should end, and hell, we thought it was going to be over at Mania this year, and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot more swerves between now and next Mania.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Jey wins the title. They could do some kind of like Dusty finish, though, where like for a split second, he wins and he's holding the title and the crowd's going crazy and the referee reverses the decision. I mean, that's the classic. That is the classic Dusty Rhodes move to pull off.
Would it be a little ironic considering we thought Cody was going to get the title last year?
Yeah. So, Jimmy has his part to play. Obviously that the fatal 4-way is still dangling out there. If they want to do that with these 4 guys, I think that would be really captivating and awesome to see on a pay-per-view. Because Roman and Jey, that's SummerSlam. The next big pay-per-view, Survivor Series.
Yeah, and I mean, hell, SummerSlam's 2 weeks away.
Yep. And then after Survivor Series, that's around Thanksgiving. You roll right into Royal Rumble, and you have to think that's kind of where the Cody Rhodes stuff, if they are going to do Cody and Roman, that's where that kind of starts back up. Get inklings of it now and then. So, yeah, I mean, for as much as we bitched about Cody not winning the title last year, I think it's safe to say that we were wrong, right? That's the wrong call.
Sure.
All things considered. I mean, this was the better way to go.
Hindsight is 2020.
Hindsight's 2020, yeah. Maybe old Paul Levesque actually knows what he's doing.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. Most of his booking since he took over has been pretty on point. I mean, there's been some weird shit along the way, but they can't all be Cowboys, right?
They can't all be Cowboys. I mean, under his regime, you have seen the Bloodline story, obviously. You've seen the rise of Sami Zayn. You have seen Kevin Owens get rehabilitated to
LA
a point where, LA Knight. Seth Rollins, probably the biggest benefit under, Triple H's new creative control. I mean, it's just a lot of guys, man. If WWE feels fresh in a way that it hasn't in a while. I've seen a lot of wrestling podcasts I follow that have tried to compare WWE today or this era of wrestling to the Attitude Era. I think top to bottom quality wise in terms of the stories and the in-ring matches, it is better than the Attitude Era. It's maybe not eclipsed the same level of heights that the Attitude Era has. I mean, the Attitude's, it's The Rock, it's Stone Cold, it's Undertaker, it's Mankind, it's the height of Triple H, it's Shawn Michaels. It's a lot of fucking legends.
Yeah.
But again, like we talk about with the Attitude Era sometimes, you go back and watch some of those shows, some of the stuff at the bottom of the card, especially, the matches are just kind of stinkers a lot of the times. You know, for as good as the Attitude Era was, there's not really a lot of matches where you go, oh shit. I mean, they're, Taker and Mankind, the Hell in a Cell. There's some Kurt Angle matches in there. You contrast that to today. We're going to talk about on Collision a free fucking tag team match that they tore the house down for an hour.
Yeah.
And that's just on a random Saturday. And that's the second time in 2 weeks that they've done that.
Yeah, we definitely got some notes on that one.
So, it depends on what you like in wrestling. I don't think wrestling is ever going to command the same level of viewership that it did at the Attitude Era, because everything is different. The culture's different.
That's 25 years ago.
Yeah, nobody's pulling 9-10 million people for any show, regardless of wrestling show. Yeah. But I think in terms of the quality,
there was no handheld phones and access to everything you could ever want in the palm of your hand at that point.
But there is probably an argument to be made, and I'm sure somebody that knows more about this could probably tell us. There's probably more people around the globe that are consuming wrestling in some form or the other than they ever have before, be it through TikTok, YouTube, Twitter. I mean, keep in mind the television ratings that we talk about, they're only in the American market.
Yeah.
That's just, we don't have a clue how big WWE and AEW are internationally.
And
really.
It's a thing you brought up last week. You're like, who the hell do you know that's ever owned a Nielsen box? And if that's the only way they're getting numbers, like that doesn't count YouTube TV. That doesn't count Sling. That doesn't, like, I can name a handful of people that still own satellite devices, right? Or cable boxes. And they're the older generation, right?
And that's not counting the people that watch AEW and WWE in the UK or in Africa or in Japan, that's not counting any of those. So there's more people probably watching wrestling in some form or the other than they ever have. And it's a good time to be doing that for sure.
Yeah.
Whether it stands the test of time the way the Attitude Era has, only time will tell.
Yeah, we'll see. Let's move on because we got a bunch of stuff to cover. Speaking of folks being over as hell, we talked a lot about LA Knight last week, and we called that maybe he should go for the TV title,
U.S. title.
Okay, yeah, U.S. title.
I saw that in the doc, and I was like, I bet he meant just put U.S. and it just auto spelled to TV.
Yeah, keep in mind on Friday nights, I'm usually a couple drinks in by the time SmackDown comes on. But yeah, he's going after that, like we called last week.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense. That's the way to do it.
I mean, dude, his pop on Friday night was fucking insane.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. People have jokingly started calling him on the internet Stone Rock, which I don't think is a bad nickname. And I also saw something cool. Somebody posted, and it was like a 3-year-old who was doing the LA Knight catchphrase, LA Knight, yeah. And I was like, that 3-year-old has never seen probably Stone Cold Steve. He wasn't. Every generation kind of needs that sort of character like that. The Rock, the Stone Cold, that is a very successful formula when you can pull it off, obviously. And, to a lot of younger fans, if you're, 10, 11, 12 years old, I mean, about The Rock because you probably watch the Fast and the Furious movies, but you don't have any inkling of The Rock really outside of the highlights and the clips that you've seen.
Yeah, I mean, unless your parents are sitting around watching old matches every weekend.
Yeah, you weren't consuming Stone Cold and The Rock week in and week out the way you are LA Knight. So, people continue to want to hate on this dude. Just watch the show, I guess. Watch the way the crowd reacts when that music hits. Literally everybody in the arena stands up. They all join in on the catchphrases. I mean, something is happening, and it's happened organically. I don't think... damn sure WWE didn't see this coming. Because remember, it was only a couple months ago they put this dude in a feud with Bray Wyatt, The Fiend, Uncle Howard, whatever the fuck was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they threw him off the thing and he supposedly died, I guess, but whatever the hell. I don't even remember what that story was, to be honest. I just remember LA Knight wore like neon trunks.
Yeah.
And now there's a case to be made. Is anybody getting a bigger pop in wrestling than LA Knight?
I mean, even Cody, you could compare his pop. Cody's music is always fucking blaring and it's a different intro, but like he and Seth Rollins get big pops, but like just in terms of off the bat pop, I think it's probably got to be Knight, right?
Yeah. And keep in mind the people you just said, Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, those are the two top baby faces in WWE.
Well, and they've got songs that tailor to crowd interaction, right?
Right.
LA Knights doesn't, but they're still going fucking nuts 30 seconds into it.
Yeah.
You know, he jumps up on the ring and raises his arms and the fucking crowd goes crazy.
They love him, man.
They don't have the sing-along. He doesn't have the sing-alongs like Cody and Seth, but he's still getting the energy.
This is a part of wrestling that is cool, where you see guys who maybe management has different plans for, different ideas for, whatever, and the crowd just gets behind them. And week after week, we've seen these pops get louder and louder and louder to where at the last pay-per-view when LA Knight doesn't win Money in the Bank, the dude who was calling the shots in Triple H literally has to sit at a press conference after the fact and go, hey, we know everybody wanted LA Knight to win, but just like calm down. Good things are coming.
Yeah.
I mean, that just goes to show you really what the crowd has done. Like they've made LA Knight a star. And it probably couldn't happen to a better dude, all things considered. You read stuff about LA Knight, Eli Drake. I mean, you know, like we said, some people have some criticism about him, but
just have fun, man.
This is the fun part of wrestling.
Yeah.
It's fun, and it's cool to see a dude who's in his 40s who's grinded for this long get a shot. And like we said, his career could have been dead in the water 3 months ago, post Uncle Howdy, Bray Wyatt. Like we could have never heard from this dude again.
Yeah.
And instead, he is one of the top baby faces in the company. That's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, man, I'm for it. The last thing we have notes for SmackDown is Asuka versus Bianca Belair. All hell broke loose near the end of the match. Charlotte tried to spear Io Sky outside of the ring, and Bianca got Bianca instead. Back in the ring, Io was about to cash in. Bayley tried handing the briefcase to the ref, but Asuka hit her with the mist and then ran back up the ramp, avoiding the cash in. They've teased the cash in so that you gotta feel like Io's cash in is coming sooner than later. They teased it last week. It almost something is interrupting her.
Yeah,
the last 2 weeks, right, when she's trying to cash in.
Are they gonna do something crazy where she legitimately cashes in, and Bayley is the one that causes her to have an unsuccessful cash in?
I mean, maybe. Like I feel like this one will get resolved at SummerSlam, probably, right?
Yeah. But she's made it a point. She's going after Asuka, so she could go after technically any champion, Rhea or Asuka. She's going after Asuka. It just seems to me like she's going to cash in and Bayley's going to screw up, and Asuka will retain, and then you get Io versus Bayley in a feud. Also, is there not some kind of protocol? Like, how many times does somebody have to... What is the protocol for handing the briefcase to the ref to make it official? We've now seen 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
Where the ref is just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Are you sure? Like, is it not...
Just take the fucking briefcase.
How does it work? Yeah. Just explain to me how it works.
Yeah. It's like the ref doesn't know what the fuck they're supposed to do.
Because couldn't... Okay, so you, like you said, Asuka escaped up the ramp, right? Io technically could still hand the briefcase to the ref and say, no, we are doing this now. Like, just because she makes it out of the ring, she's not safe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm
handing
weird.
You this shit. The intent is clear.
Yeah. I
didn't just give it to... Hey, hang on to this for a sec.
Yeah. So, again, that's picking nits, but like, it is one of the things that just kind of drives me crazy where I'm just like, why? Why's the ref just standing there looking stupid? Take the thing.
Yeah. I want to move to Raw because we got about 10 minutes left for WWE before we need to switch gears. So Cody, his promo had a couple hard times callbacks, right? And then as he's hugging his mom ringside, Brock's music hits. He whips Cody with a chair and beats him in front of his family. And then he accepts Cody's challenge for SummerSlam. So we're getting, the third match, the rubber match between these guys. Do you think that's going to finally be the end of it?
Yes. Yeah, this will be it. Which is why it should be in a Hell in a Cell. I don't know if they're going to do that, but that's where it needs to be. You need to put these two dudes Hell in a Cell at SummerSlam. This is the end match for their feud. Backtrack a little bit. There's nothing more I like in wrestling than somebody just getting the hell beat out of them in front of their family that's in the front row. It's such an easy thing to do, and I love it so much. We're just to see the family's reaction. And I mean, Brock was laying that stuff in, just beating the shit out of Cody. Cody's mom is there. It is such a classic throwback move. It's so easy to pull off. Almost like, I love it so much that if it literally happened in wrestling every single week, I wouldn't be mad at it. And it would still just bring me so much joy. I don't know why. I don't know what that says about me. But like,
it's a little sadistic, maybe.
It's a little bit, but it's just like, it's so easy. It's such an easy way to get heat. There's nothing worse than slapping the shit out of somebody in front of their mama, and the mama can't do nothing about it.
Yeah, and you've already brought up hard times.
Yeah.
And you like thinking, well, which of Dusty's families was on hard time? Both of Dusty's families? Like, because he had two baby mamas.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
At least two, I guess.
It's just... And you knew it was going to happen, too. As soon as he referenced his mom, you're like, oh, Brock's going to come out and beat the shit out of him in front of his mom, and I'm going to love it.
Yeah, and this... Okay, look, I know you gotta do this shit sometimes, but, like, his music hits, it stops. Music hits again, and Cody's like, well, where is he? I guess I'll go look for him backstage. And then you hear pop as soon as he gets backstage.
Yeah.
He gets hit with a chair or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
You know better than that. I know you gotta work that. You gotta work stupid angles like that, but
he's the valiant hero, man. He's going into the cave, even though he knows the dragon's in there. That's what the heroes do.
We'll go around the corner with a little more caution.
Speaking of Cody, I guess now is probably a good time to talk about the trailer for his documentary, which looks absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
We were talking before we started rolling.
So next Sunday, not this Sunday.
Yeah, July 31st. They tease in the trailer Cody being like, don't cut whatever you do. I don't want this part edited. Are we finally going to get the reason why he left AEW? Is he going to say it definitively on camera?
I mean, of all the things that I would like that part of the documentary to be, in terms of, like you said, like, what's he going to talk about? That's what I'd really like to hear.
And I want a concrete example, or I would like a concrete reason, and not just like, oh, we drifted apart, or creatively we were going in different directions. I kind of just want him to be like, I wanted CM Punk money, and Tony said he wasn't going to give it to me. So I said, fuck you, I ain't going to be here no more. I don't think we're going to get that.
That's reasonable.
But
we ain't asking that much, Cody.
Yeah. I don't think he'll say that. He'll keep the peace. But that would truly break the internet. With as much hate as the IWC has for CM Punk, I guess I should say half of the IWC has for CM Punk. That would only continue to add fuel to the fire for his hatred. If Cody was just like, hey, I knew what this dude was going to do and how cancerous he was, and I didn't want it to happen, and Tony did it anyway. And then Tony wasn't going to pay me the money he was paying Punk, and I'd started this whole thing, so I was going to get out and bet on myself again.
I mean, on one hand, you can't be mad at that, right?
No.
Cody built this fucking company. I mean, not just Cody, but he was a major factor.
He had a huge part to play in it.
Right.
Yeah. And, however you feel about Cody, and I think he probably has a damn near as close to a universal, no pun intended, approval rating as kind of anybody in wrestling right now. I tweeted this. He's made a fan out of me. I tried really hard to be a hater of this dude. I don't think I was wrong in a lot of my criticisms about Cody. A lot of his promos were very stilted. They felt very rehearsed. Over-rehearsed, some of them, yeah. They still at times feel that way. But I'm just giving myself over to the ride, man. This dude's incredible. He is a white meat babyface as a white meat babyface can get. And I love the song. I love the entrance. You know, I get a kick out of seeing the little kids just absolutely lose their mind when he hands them the weight belt. I mean, that really is what wrestling's all about. The softy in me, like that's one of my favorite parts. And if it is in the cards for this dude to win the title at next year's WrestleMania, I guarantee you 100%, I will be bawling my eyes out in my living room. Yeah. I pop for that in the same way, like when Rey Mysterio finds the little children luchadors and does the head, thing, and then like Orange Cassidy only does the little semi high five or fist pound to just kids, Yeah. It's like it's just the kids. I love that. Yeah. That's what it's about. So Cody's made a believer out of me. And yeah, I will be rooting as hard as anybody to see him dethrone Roman Reigns next year. So my next note only said, I love Otis. I didn't have anything else to add. I just love watching Otis in the ring. I love his facial expressions, how he'll stop and he's a little frantic, but like a little like restrained, like, like he just got that crazy look in his eyes. Yeah. And when he's super excited about things, like, I've bitched on this podcast before about how they did him when he won Money in the Bank a couple of years ago with like getting the case stolen from him, blah, blah, blah. And that's a bunch of Vince shit. But like, I just love Otis, right? Yeah. So in the notes you added, Chad Gable is the shit. We talk a lot about guys who can kind of do everything. Like, he can be funny because he's killing it right now, but there's also a world where you could vault him to the main event scene and it would totally be believable. Yeah, to me, Chad Gable and Otis, but Chad Gable in particular is such a fascinating case to watch right now because, like I said, he's killing it with the comedy game. But he has an Olympic background to where you could totally convince me that in 6 months he has an LA Knight type of ascension into the main event level scene, and he's taken seriously as a threat to dethrone whoever is the champion because his wrestling ability is outstanding. The in-ring work it's there. It's always been there. And yeah, he's gotten shoosh. He's gotten that over. Shoosh. People love it. All right. And you talk about the Viking Raiders match he had. I don't give a damn about the Viking Raiders. Yeah. But people were invested in that match because of Chad Gable and Otis. Yeah. And, Otis in particular, and Chad Gable too to that extent, even though I just said I could see a world where Chad Gable, is a main event level player, at least for a little bit. Everybody can't be a main eventer, Everybody can't be a world champion, unfortunately. But that doesn't mean that wherever position you get slotted in on the card, you can't take what they give you and excel at it. Otis, prime example, right? Entertaining as hell. He's entertaining to watch. Chad Gable, same way. He's brought back the Caterpillar. He brought it back. He was throwing big-ass dudes around. Like, the people love it. And that's, everybody has their part to play on the show, and that's what makes the show overall good. Like when you talk about what is making wrestling hot right now, it's not just like the Bloodline stuff, and it's not just the MJF and Adam Cole stuff over in AEW. It's the Alpha Academy stuff. It's the Judgment Day stuff. It's Dominic Mysterio being the most hated heel in WWE. It's the Orange Cassidy over in AEW. Like, it's all these different dudes who are just taking what they're being given and running with it. And in totality, you look at wrestling and go, damn, that's what makes it great. Everybody's on their A game. There's never been this much talent on the mic, in the ring, in wrestling history, I would say. Yeah, we hear it's not just us, but everybody on Twitter talks about the ever-expanding AEW roster. And
And now I think they're kind of figuring out what to do with that roster now that they've got Collision on Saturday nights.
Yeah.
Rampage is still kind of a snooze. You know, like one match out of 4 might be worth watching. But I don't know. Maybe they'll figure that out at some point. Maybe they're just like, fuck it. And just, that's just their hour to do whatever they want with. But I feel like they need to tighten that up. But yeah, I mean, you're right. There's a lot of talent, man.
Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
I mean, again, 2 dudes who get huge crowd reactions and people love. Like, there's just so much talent right now, so much good talent in a way that, like, you know, you go back to the Attitude Era, like, no offense to some of those guys, but like, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. There's only like a handful of those dudes getting brought up on the reg.
Yeah, when you go back and think about the Attitude Era, there's only, you know, the key names pop up, and those are the ones that come to mind. And like I said, even like, I love WCW Nitro, and like, I'm continuing we haven't talked about this in a little bit. I'm continuing to watch my WCW Nitro going all the way through, right? I'm at 1997. I'm like 3 weeks away from Hulk Hogan dropping the leg and joining the NWO. So it's about to get really good. But like, even some of those Nitro matches, like, yeah, you get a cool cruiserweight match. But then you get like, you know, the Giant versus, I don't know, fucking Brutus Beefcake. Even that's not what he was. Oh, Big Daddy Booty Man, whoever the fuck he was. And it's just like, it's not great television for like 8 minutes.
Yeah.
That's not really the case in Dynamite or WWE right now. There's not really a lull. There are certainly heights, right? Bloodline, Seth Rollins, that kind of stuff. But even when it dips, like, it dips down to fucking Gunther giving a promo on an announce table.
Yeah, like I didn't include Gunther's match this week because I was like, you know, there wasn't a ton to discuss there, but like, he's somebody we bring up damn near every week.
Yeah, he had another amazing match with Matt Riddle and then cut an outstanding promo where he didn't even say that much except like, he basically said like, I'm going to beat the shit out of whoever tries to come after this title.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, we all know he's breaking the record for longest, you know, title holder on the Intercontinental Championship.
And listen, whenever they want to pull the trigger and put that dude up at the top of the card, it is going to be a seamless transition. Yeah. That man has everything you want in a champion and is going to have a very long, very successsul Hall of Fame career in WWE.
Yeah, I'm here for it. You mentioned KO and Sammy a minute ago. So KO and Sammy took on Dom Mysterio and Damian Priest the other night. Seth Rollins attacked Finn before the match even started, and then Sammy and KO retain. Good stuff again from both of these teams, right? Judgment Day every week has got something good happening and going on. They, you know, they're teasing a rift between Priest and Finn Balor, but they were on mostly good terms the other night.
Yeah.
So something's going to happen there, but I mean, Judgment Day, I don't think is going anywhere for a while.
It does not seem like that's the case. They continue to be utilized really heavily on Monday Night Raw. We didn't even mention Finn Balor and Seth Rollins face off, which was fantastic. And then Finn did the whole, I'm going to walk away, but then I'm going to come back and just kick you in the damn face, which I thought was just fantastic. I'm down to see Finn and Seth tangle again at SummerSlam. You got to think this time, though, the Demon, for like Finn Balor's got to put the makeup on, right? At this point.
Yeah, if they don't, it's probably just another match, right?
Yeah, and I think you have to kind of do something different.
You got to step up.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're talking a lot of shit to Seth Rollins.
And you know, you mentioned the Judgment Day still running things, but could they possibly run things without Finn Balor? Like, could you see a scenario where Finn dresses up as a demon, beats Seth Rollins at SummerSlam, and Damian Priest immediately cashes in on Finn and leaves SummerSlam the World Heavyweight Champion? And instead of having 2 main event guys, now you've made 3 main event dudes with Priest, Finn, and Seth, and you can have those guys tangle up maybe for the next couple months.
I mean, if you pit Priest against Finn, then what we've been talking about for a little while, and we really stressed it last week, was putting Ripley in charge, right? of the Judgment Day. Because, I mean, like you said, the one who has the belt is the one that's in charge.
The only two people that the Judgment Day can't afford to lose is Rhea Ripley and Dominic Mysterio. Everybody else, not to say that they're not important, but they can kind of come and go. So, be it Damian beats Finn and Finn is kicked out, or Finn beats Damian and Damian is kicked out, like, as long as you have the core of Rhea and old Dirty Dom, who is now the North American champion. Now my boy Dom's got a belt.
Yeah, I didn't watch NXT, but I saw that he got the win.
So now my boy Dom got a belt. As long as you keep those two, like, you can funnel people in and out through there. I mean, Edge started the damn Judgment Day, Hall of Famer, one of the greatest of all time. And the group didn't skip a beat.
Yeah.
Like, it's still going.
They've been around twice as long without him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So,
I mean, more than that probably at this point.
Yeah.
So let's switch gears and go to AEW for now. As we still got a ton of stuff to cover. Collision Saturday night. I didn't get to watch it live, so I had to watch it later. I was at a fun get together Saturday evening. My first note was that I love these pre-recorded quick hits with the wrestlers before the theme song hits. I think that's a neat touch.
Yeah, they have really honed in on different small little ways to make Collision stand out from Dynamite. And like you said, the quick hitters at the top, different little things like that has made Collision feel really fresh.
Yeah. That's all the time we really need to spend on that. It was a note that I think if it's different, it feels different, and I dig it. Good touch there. So they come out hot on Collision Saturday night. FTR versus Bullet Club Gold. 2 out of 3 falls to start things off. The crowd is hyped for this. They're straight up freaking out at the end of the second match. I mean, hyped as hell, right?
Yeah.
Especially, for a Saturday night crowd. They could be doing a lot of other things, but they're just into it. Then we get double sharpshooters. That was bad as hell. And then Dax gets the sharpshooter on Juice to retain the titles. Crowd goes fucking insane. And my buddy Eddie, who was a little late, I think, watching AEW over a lot, like you and I for sure. He had texted me before I got to watch it. He's like, tag team championship match, maybe the best work I've ever seen since AEW started.
I mean, I think Meltzer said on his radio show this was the best tag team match on American television history, which is, I mean, you got to think the amount of people who have had tag team matches on American TV. I mean, it is a long storied list. So, look, if Collision is just going to be the place where I can see outstanding wrestling and where I can see my favorite wrestler, Andrade and Malachi and Bullet Club and FTR and CM Punk, sign me up. That's all I need every week.
Ricky Starks.
I'm down with it. Did you say
Ricky?
Yeah, Ricky. Like we talked about last week, this show has really benefited from really just scaling down the types of stories they tell and the wrestlers that they use to tell them with. I mean, it really is CM Punk's show. And, like what I just said, CM Punk, Andrade, Malachi, Bullet Club Gold, FTR, Ricky Starks, Miro. Those have been the consistents since they've started the show. There's some form of their stories has been told every single week since Collision's been a thing. And I'm here for it, man. I'm down. It's, and full transparency, like I told you, I haven't been able to go back and watch the full match yet. I had a lot of stuff going on Saturday. I just saw the clips.
58 minutes, man.
58 minutes. Listen, all the New Japan fans, like we talked about, y'all should have been making way more noise about Jay White. Y'all undersold this dude. you undersold him. This dude's a stud. It is. He's unbelievable. And I guess it's just me being ignorant. I thought he was like, to use a term I don't really like to use, but I don't really have anything else at the moment that comes to the head. Like, I thought he was just a flippy guy. He's not a flippy dude at all.
No, but he's fucking ripped, man. And he's got some height on him. And like, he's fucking brutal.
He is such a throwback psychological heel. And like we talked about, these dudes are just doing throwback tag team wrestling. And when you do it right, it works. And it gets people hyped as shit. And they stand up and they make noise.
The crowd was insane for an hour.
Yeah. And they're going to have, looking forward a little bit, FTR versus Adam Cole and MJF, they got some big shoes to fill.
You got to wonder, too, if that's why Adam Cole and MJF have been playing up the old school approach to a lot of different things lately. We talked last week about getting such a huge pop for a body slam and then teasing this double clothesline, which we'll get to shortly.
Yeah.
You got to wonder if they were like, yeah, fuck it, we're just going old school versus FTR.
So we get a little bit of time, I think, before we get the match. I think it's next Saturday.
Sounds right. It's not this,
not this one, but the next. Yeah. So you got to think next week on Dynamite, they have another face-off with live mics. Because here's the thing. MJF and Adam Cole, they're not going to be doing dance-offs against FTR.
No.
Nor should they be. That's not the story they should tell at this point. Now the story between these four guys is, okay, you had your fun. You're the odd couple tag team, all fun and games. But now you're going up against literally the best in the world. So, you better bring your big boy
7-star FTR, baby.
Yeah. And we'll talk about it when we get to Dynamite. I don't know what direction they go here, but boy, they got one hell of a thing to follow up between fucking Bullet Club and FTR.
Yeah, it's going to be something for sure. Let's get on to the next one. A little surprised, maybe. Willow versus Ruby Soho for the Owen Hart title, and Willow wins, which I was excited about. I kind of felt like they were going to go Ruby, which I wouldn't have been upset about because I like Ruby even as a heel. But I like Willow a lot too. And I think, I don't know, I was just happy to see Willow get the dub.
Yeah, Willow's got a lot of potential. I was just kind of like you, though. I thought Ruby was going to win just because she's part of a heel faction. And usually the story beat with any heel faction is at some point they run roughshod and own all the titles. Tony is the women's champion. It would only make sense then. Ruby is, the Owen Hart women's tournament champion. And then Saraya can kind of do whatever. But they really haven't. They kind of missed the mark with the Outsiders, I think, just a little bit. They haven't had the moment where...
Outcast.
What did I say?
Outsiders.
It's fucking throwback to the Nitro shit I was talking about. I mean, that's clearly who they're ripping off, though, right? I mean, doing some shit.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I hate to be that guy. Somebody's gonna be like, you motherfucker said Outsiders.
Yeah, same old. Anyway, the Outcasts have not had that moment where they have looked scary dominantly or scary dominant, where they've just beaten up the entire women's division. They kind of just come out and they pick on Sky Blue and they kind of do the spray paint. But then whenever it comes time for them to finally put the nail in the coffin of the good guys come back and beat them.
Yeah.
So, the money play to me that's dangling out there with the Outcast, and she hasn't been on TV since she lost the title. Jade Cargill needs to be a member of this faction. I've said it from the beginning. This is her mark where you could put Jade Cargill with the Outcasts, and I think you freshen up that entire story.
Yeah, how much time is she going to get off of TV?
I don't know.
It's funny because she tweeted yesterday that she had let herself go since she'd been off. So I'm wondering if that was real, because she doesn't seem like the kind of person that's going to take 2 months off of working out, right?
No.
Is that just putting some shit out there because she might be coming back soon, or
could be? I mean, there's a faction that's in need of a big time player, a big heater.
Yeah, because Saraya ain't wrestling right now. She's injured, right? So they need somebody else to throw some bows.
Jade could come in and hit a kick, spray paint an L on somebody. We've already seen her. We've already seen her in green gear. She did that Mortal Kombat tribute a couple months back. So that would be my plan. What I would do. We'll see what they do with the Outcast. But Jade Cargill needs to be a member of that group.
So the Punk versus Ricky Starks for the Owen Hart title for the men. Sounds like there were a lot of Punk haters in the house, which we didn't necessarily hear the last couple weeks, right? A lot of boos for Punk. And then my only real note from the match was that spear from Ricky hit a little different, and then Ricky wins. And then your notes for this match were, is Ricky turning heel? If so, what the fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck is this?
Because
what's happening?
Yeah, he was real quick to get out of there and grab that trophy and, cold shoulder some folks on the way out.
So he cheats to win.
Yeah.
He holds the rope. Anytime you have to cheat to win, you're automatically signaling to the audience that this guy who has to cheat is not better than the dude that got cheated. Or else he wouldn't have to cheat, right? I mean, it's just that's 101. That's basic as it gets.
Well, because, from the top, I was like, well, it's an interesting choice that Ricky won. I ain't mad at it, but I was like, I was like, is this a heel turn coming? Like, I wasn't really pleased with the way Ricky won. We're Team Ricky all the way, right? But I don't know if I want to get behind Team Ricky, the heel.
And then he rips the trophy away from Juicing Thunder Liger, the most babyface of all babyface characters you can be. And then not only that, but commentary on Wednesday when they show the highlight from the weekend, they reiterate how disrespectful Ricky was in that moment. I would love to just be a fly on the wall to figure out how they came to this decision and if they really are going to make one of their most over, potentially the most over babyface in the company, if you did it right, a heel again. When he never, they turned him babyface. Actually, no, they didn't really turn him babyface. We talked about this.
It was just a natural,
just naturally got behind him. They do the Hobbs turns on him, right? Hobbs, after that moment, his career really has just kind of floundered. He had a TNT title win in there, but he's really not gone anywhere. Ricky's really only had the one moment with MJF and this moment here with Punk, and they have him cheat to beat him.
Yeah, it was a little weird. I didn't necessarily think they were going to put the Owen Hart title on Punk because I was like, they're kind of running in a different direction with Punk. They want to put it on, which I don't know though, because Britt Baker and Adam Cole were both fucking heels when they won the Owen Hart title.
But it does you no harm to have Ricky. He doesn't have to necessarily beat Punk clean, but he can hit him with a wrestling move, like with a roll up, 1, 2, 3, not grab the rope.
Yeah.
Punk gets up and he's like, damn it. And him and Ricky shake hands and Collision goes off the air with CM Punk raising Ricky's arm and the crowd going crazy for Ricky.
Yeah.
You get the same, I don't understand. Okay, so Ricky's going to turn heel and go against who?
Yeah.
He's going to have a feud with Punk? Okay, but there's going to be a large segment of your fan base, like you mentioned, that's just going to boo Punk just because fuck CM Punk, right? Doesn't matter who he's going against. We just don't like this dude.
Yeah.
And Ricky's not going to... Who has the TNT title right now? Christian Cage? Or Luchasaurus, actually?
Yeah.
So that's a heel champion. You're not going to put Ricky up against him as Ricky's a heel. Do you do Ricky and Orange Cassidy? I guess that kind of could be cool, but again, why? I'm baffled by this decision.
Yeah, when they finally do, I don't want to talk about this too long, but when they finally do take the international title off of Cassidy, there needs to be some lead up to it. It's just he's just got a different guy every week. There's no feud happening, right?
They're kind of doing a thing with Swerve, kind of, sort of ish. If you want to talk about guys who they've really dropped the ball with, that Swerve would probably be the number one overall pick in terms of what kind of impact I think that dude can make if you do it right. But yeah, sometimes AEW does these things where I'm just like, okay, I don't see it, but I'll go along for the ride, I guess.
Sure, yeah. It'll all work out at some point, right? So let's get in. We got about 10 minutes left. Let's get into Dynamite last night. Jungle Boy versus Hook. So Jack Perry wins the FTW title and hands Hook his first loss after hitting him with the belt while Paul Turner was laid out on the mat. And you say, don't want to be a hater, but I don't think that Jack Perry has the it factor to be a big time player. And there's a part of me that would rather have the screen time to go to someone else.
So let's just run down a list real quick. Who would you rather see have 10 minutes of screen time on Dynamite? Swerve Strickland or Jack Perry?
Swerve.
Okay. Jungle Boy Jack Perry or Powerhouse Hobbs?
I'll say Jack Perry.
I would much rather see what Powerhouse would do with TV time than Jack Perry. I do not, like I said, I don't want to be a hater on this dude. I don't see it. I don't see anything he brings to the table.
Yeah, like I've been a fan. Just because he was a younger, smaller guy, and he's acrobatic and does some good stuff in the ring, but like he's had 4 years at this point, right?
And he's had 4 years in very prominent positions. It's not like they haven't given him opportunity. They've given him ample opportunity. I would rather see Christian Cage and Luchasaurus get this screen time because I think Christian Cage is phenomenal and is doing phenomenal work. Gosh, I could keep going down the list. Like, Private Party.
Fuck it, Nick Wayne's an 18-year-old. Give him the shot.
I mean, Isaiah Cassidy, I would like to see what he could probably do with more screen time. Like, yeah, there's a lot of dudes, and they keep giving it to Jack Perry, and I don't understand it. He is the most, especially now that they've taken the Jungle Jack gimmick away from him. He came out Wednesday night looking like the most generic bad guy in all the generic bad guys of history.
Yeah, so they started his 80s song or whatever that's called. I forgot. They stopped it and then they played the fucking classical music his whole way down. I was like, this is boring as shit.
Well, the classical music could have been cool, but like he comes out and it's just black leather pants and the jacket.
He buried his boots in the desert.
Yeah, he takes the jacket off. My man's got no wrist tape. There's nothing distinguishable about him anymore. Like, switch it up. Put a glove on or something. Do something different.
Cut your hair.
Yeah. What if he did a buzz cut? That immediately makes him way more interesting.
Yeah.
It's just the same.
It takes you away from Jungle Jack, too, because, like, you're still Jungle Jack Perry until you cut that fucking hair.
Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of other dudes in AEW that I would kind of like to see get this level of screen time who I think could really capitalize on it. Because here's the thing also about this. Not that the crowd was dead, but they were just kind of like, meh.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, true. I want to move on though to Adam Cole and MJF versus Garcia and Guevara. They got the double clothesline on Garcia to get the win. And Cole hangs on to MJF's belt a little too long before giving it over to him. Garcia and Guevara give Jericho the cold shoulder on the ramp. And then FTR will confront Cole, or FTR do confront Cole and MJF in the ring. Only negative here is that we have to talk about the shitty production and directing on the pre-tape segment with Max and Cole at the restaurant. That was your note. I think this goes back to what we said last week. I thought the segment last week was poorly directed as well. They need to get somebody to direct these pre-tape segments.
Yeah. So listeners, come to us for all the nerdy details. If you are not a film aficionado, there is a rule in film called the 180 degree rule or the 180 degree line. Okay. And it's basically a way, in layman's terms, if you are looking at two people, you keep the camera on one side of them as you do multiple angles. Because if you jump to shoot the other side of them, a lot of times you can get discombobulated as to where people are situated in the environment, right? They didn't give a shit about none of that Wednesday night. That camera on the master shot was there. And then when they started doing the singles on MJF and Adam Cole, the fucking camera was on the other side. They kept switching back and forth and kept going. The audio was not mixed well. The lighting was not great. And the segment itself was funny. I mean, it makes they're going to eat spicy food and they're reconnecting. Like, I love the chemistry between MJF and Adam Cole, but like there's just a lot to be desired production wise. And I'll go ahead and mention this before, so that way we don't have to talk about when we talk about blood and guts. Production completely misses the fact that Moxley surrenders because to save his boy Yuta from getting the hell beat out of him.
I had no idea that was a thing until you put it in our notes today.
Like the bell just rings and commentary was confused. And then finally Tony Schiavone's like, oh, we're getting word now that Moxley surrendered. What? How do we not have a camera on this dude's face? The dude that's fucking handcuffed to the rope. We have to have a camera there.
You got to tell one of your camera ops, like the director's got to be in that dude's ear because they've got an intercom on. You got to be in that man's ear and be like, hey, I need camera 3. I need you on Mox.
And get in the ring. So everyone was on the far right ring. The left ring was completely wide open. You could have taken the hard cam that you had on the left side of the ring. He could have got into the ring with help of an assistant and put an angle right there on Mox so that we could see. We need to see the anguish on Mox's face because Mox doesn't want to surrender. And if Mox was in that situation that he was getting choked out, he wouldn't have wanted anybody to fucking save him. But because it's not him, he's like, oh shit, okay, I'll surrender to save my boy. But anyway, we missed that completely.
Yeah.
Back to MJF and Adam Cole. Production was shitty, but this match was entertaining as hell.
Yeah.
Another old school match. AEW's first ever dance off, which I was kind of, when it started, was like, what the fuck were they doing? And then by the end of it, I was like, all right, this is goofy. And
when the music
fun.
Stops and Cole's just out there still just fucking thrusting away.
Yeah. My man had no kind of rhythm whatsoever. And first of all, this doesn't just go to show you how much rhythm Daniel Garcia has. Nobody can do that thing like him. Yeah. People have tried. My man is smooth with them hips.
Yeah, really.
That taunt.
I did miss this part a minute ago. Your other note was that they've clearly struck gold here with these two. So the big question is, how do they break them up? We talked about it last week.
We talked about it. So here's the big thing, and it's been a criticism that you and I have had with AEW and with Tony Khan in particular. Our man TK seems unwilling to pivot when he has an idea. Okay. Chris Statlander seemingly was going to win the belt off of Jade Cargill. She gets hurt. TK says, fuck it. Cargill's just going to be undefeated till Statlander comes back. And literally the moment Statlander is cleared to come back, she waltzes down to the ring, has an impromptu match, beats Jade Cargill. Now she's a TBS champ. Okay. I don't know if they thought this was going to be as over as it is with MJF and Adam Cole basically doing a buddy cop movie. But I do not know how you look at this situation and say to yourself, whatever plans I had, if the plan was to have MJF screw over Adam Cole, I cannot do that now. Because here's the thing.
The MJF had babyface written all over him last night. The crowd was fucking over for him.
My man is doing 1985 babyface in fucking Tupelo, Mississippi, where he's walking down and literally slapping hands with everybody ringside, okay? If I don't get next week in the MJF and Adam Cole versus FTR match, it's time to bring back wrestling grandmas. And I need a damn granny front row that you plant, that MJF is doing his thing, and that granny reaches over and she pulls MJF in and just gives him a big old kiss right on the cheek. That's what I need to have happen. Okay. Let's sell this guy as, the baby face of the baby faces. But like, if MJF turns on Adam Cole, you're still going to have a large part of the fan base that's going to cheer MJF. And how do I know that? Because that's what they've been doing. They did that in the Four Pillars match. Okay, you got all these baby faces. The crowd's still chanting for MJF. But if you have Adam Cole turn on MJF, 100% of the audience is going to be behind MJF.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah.
You won't split the crowd.
Yeah, there's no way, because if you would be officially turning Cole heel again, but by default, MJF would have to be a face.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, the crowd desperately wants to cheer for this dude.
He can do no wrong last
They
night.
are salivating for AEW to give them a reason to cheer for MJF. And you have the perfect way to go about it with Adam Cole, right? You could set up the perfect turn where here comes Roderick Strong, right? After Saturday Collision match, they lose.
Yeah, he's got to get involved somehow.
They're, MJF and Adam are distraught. Here comes Roddy. Roddy jumps MJF, right? Jumps him from behind. Cole pulls Roddy off. Hey, man, what the hell you doing? Hey, man, what the hell you doing? MJF's on his knees like, what the fuck's wrong with your boy? Adam Cole turns around, just super kicks MJF right in the face.
So this is the thing you touched on, not like maybe last week. Maybe it was last week. Maybe it was the week before. But some of the things that MJF can do, but he just doesn't do. And the tope last night, right? Because he acted like he didn't want to do the tope.
Yeah.
We've never seen MJF do a fucking tope in 4 years.
And not only that, if you go on his Twitter page, he has ramped up and done the full scale Hulk Hogan recounting his WrestleMania 3 main event with Andre, where he just exaggerates everything. And so last night, he did it with the body slam Big Bill, right? The Saskatoon slam. And then last night on his Twitter, he posted like he hits the most over, or like the biggest dive in wrestling history in front of 95,000 screaming fans. I mean, everything about wrestling he just gets. That's why he's so great.
Yeah.
Every little thing he does.
Well, we're running a little over, but we got to talk about Blood and Guts, right? To close out the show. The notes that we have say, I think I need, or you just said, because all I had was Blood and Guts match. I was pretty exhausted when I got home last night, and so I didn't take a ton of notes. So you said, I think I need an Omega versus Claudio singles match. Mox is a maniac. Ibushi looked rusty, and it was a bonkers match, though, with yet another botch from production. How do we not have a camera on Mox?
Yeah,
So
we are hit on that.
We did that one. But yeah, I mean, a lot of good stuff going on here. It's an hour. There's a lot to fill. I kept thinking something crazy was going to happen on top. Like, we've kind of gotten the last two Blood and Guts with what Jericho got thrown off the top the first year, right?
Yep.
By MJF. And then last year we had the thing with Claudio and Eddie and Mox up top, right?
Claudio, and I think Jericho got a big swing on the top of the cage, right? That happened last year. Yeah.
So, a lot of stuff happening here. But the Elite get the dub.
Yep.
Do they officially go ahead and call this one done? Like this story? They've got to, right? Or do they?
No, I don't think so, because the Blackpool Combat Club's excuse is that, we didn't have our full crew.
Well,
Danielson's not there. Like, Pac walked out on us.
Takeshita walked out.
Takeshita has never been a part of BCC. He walked out. So when it is Moxley and Claudio and Yuta and Danielson, they are still formidable opponents.
True.
And yeah, I need Omega and Claudio like right now. Those two guys started squaring off, and it was one of them things like, I didn't know I needed this, but yeah, I need to see some matches. Have you ever seen that? It's that clip of that dude that's at the Subway, and he eats the chips, he eats the cookie, and then he starts yelling at the dude behind the counter. He's like, that shit's good. Give me 2 more. Give me 2 more. And he's just yelling like so aggressive. And the guy behind the counter is like, I'll give you the cookies.
I mean, I can't argue with the man. Them Subway cookies are good.
They are good. And I need the one-on-one Claudio Omega. The better nail spot, just wild as shit.
Okay.
Just wild.
From an idiot that doesn't know shit about fuck when it comes to that stuff, how is he not dead? Like, is that just plastic nails? Like, how does that work? They would break, right?
Yeah.
If it was real nails, he would be fucking impaled.
I never wrestled at the level where we had a budget enough to get a bed of nails and rig it and work it in a way where it didn't, stab somebody in the kidney. Yeah. But
when they pulled it out, I was like, they'll get one thing off of this and it won't be as dramatic as you think. They just kept going back to that motherfucker.
Oh yeah, they kept going back. They kept going back to the broken glass.
So the broken glass, I was like, there might be a couple pieces of glass and there might be a lot of fucking plastic in there.
Yeah.
Right? That looks like glass.
Yeah.
I know how you pull that off. But then again, you see people running around with fucking thumbtacks in their back. And you're like, I know that shit hurts.
Yeah. And the thumbtacks got dropped from the roof of the cage, which I thought was a nice touch. Maybe if you think thumbtacks are falling on you, you don't want to look up Pac and Claudio. You catch one in the eye, but yeah, I mean, there's really not much to say about this match except like it's bonkers. It's AEW doing what the competition can't. WWE can't do this. So fucking if Moxley's gonna bleed and look like, they kept saying he was in a horror movie last night. That's what he looked like. There's a lot of reasons why you want to do stuff like this. And, maybe next year, Blood and Guts, instead of being on free TV, is on Saturday or Sunday, and it's on HBO Max. Because we've gotten word that there could potentially be an AEW HBO Max deal coming down the pike sooner rather than later.
Please get us off the Bleacher Report.
And that Warner Brothers would then go to a once-a-month pay-per-view model. That would be, the pay-per-views would be on HBO Max, and it'd be on the streaming service. So, and then Ibushi, yeah, like, if this was your first time watching Ibushi, this was not, this wasn't it. He was rusty. Go back and watch if you got Peacock, go and watch Ibushi from the Cruiserweight Classic.
Yeah, this was my first Ibushi match, and I was like, okay, well, I mean, that's fine, but...
Well, he whiffed completely on a running knee that didn't come anywhere close. And the camera was about as close as the camera could possibly be to catch it. So, this not his best showing, but the crowd was still happy to see him. And hopefully it's not the last we see of Ibushi in AEW, but maybe going forward he has a better showing. Yeah.
Well, I think that'll probably get us for the week, man. A lot of fun stuff happening in wrestling right now, and we got SummerSlam soon, and then not too long before we know it, we'll have fucking Wembley going on with AEW, and I'm sure that's going to be a wild one. They haven't really started, I mean, there's no reason to start announcing matches for that yet, but I'm sure that's going to have a lot of crazy shit happening. Follow us if you don't already on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Alabama Slam Pod. We just started our TikTok account 3 weeks ago, and we get more interaction there than we do on any of our other social media stuff. We were told, I'm a little bit of an old head, but we were told that we need to start getting some content on TikTok. So I've been trying to post stuff to there every day.
That's where the youngins is at.
Yeah.
And I guess that's where the Chinese government, is stealing our information. I don't know.
Fuck it. We just put wrestling clips up. They ain't going to get nothing from me.
Yeah, the hell with it.
But yeah, we've been trying to put stuff up there every day, and I've been sharing some of those to other places like Facebook and Instagram, and sometimes on Twitter. We just don't get any interaction there. So we get a lot of discussion on our TikTok account somehow in some way. So y'all go follow us there if you don't already. And yeah, man, if y'all have any questions for us, send them to us. We'll try to answer them for you. But just fucking enjoy wrestling, man.
It's a great time. Great time to be enjoying it. A lot of cool stuff happening.
Yeah, man. Do you have any final thoughts before we bounce?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, all right, man. We'll see y'all. One last thing. I think we're going to try to record. Patrick's going to be out of town next week. But I think we're going to try to record on Tuesday and release on Wednesday. And that may be our new schedule moving forward. It's looking that way. When we first started this podcast, we were basically only discussing Dynamite. We had both checked out of WWE at the time because Vince was ruining things. But we started talking about WWE again at some point when Triple H took over. So it makes more sense for us to release earlier in the week as opposed to Friday, because at this point, by Friday, it's already been a week since SmackDown and 6 days since Collision. So, I think we're just going to start recording on Tuesdays moving forward and releasing on Wednesday unless something crazy happens. So, y'all, please stick with us and share us with your friends if you haven't already. We'd appreciate it, man. Until next week, we'll talk to y'all then.
Later, guys.